Hello, everyone. Welcome to part 2 of our three-part series on the basics of client counseling. In this particular video, we will learn how to conduct an interview. For this purpose, we are taking up a sample problem, the link to which you can find in the description below. I request you to please pause the video and go through the problem first. Hope that you have gone through the problem. Now, for the purposes of this video, I shall be assuming the role of the counsel and our client. Mr. Bernard will be joining us very shortly. You are to assume that all the previous formalities have been complied with, and we will start from the point of the actual interview. So let's welcome our client, Mr. Bernard. Mr. Bernard, I just explained the entire process of how this session will go. So, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Then I think it's time that we begin asking you what brings you here today.
Well, thank you, Mr. Cruz. I've come here to seek a legal advice from you. So, actually, what happened was that a few days back, I went to Arsenal Dry Cleaners to give my clothes for dry cleaning.
All right.
And after a few days, when I went there to collect my clothes back, I was shocked to see the condition of my clothes post the dry cleaning. They were
Okay.
battered, they were not in a condition, certainly not in a condition that I expected them to be in. And therefore, I have come to you for seeking a legal advice.
Mr. Bernard, I'll be needing a few details here. So you said that you gave your clothes for dry cleaning to Arsenal Dry Cleaners. Can you tell me where the shop or the store is located?
The store is located around Emirates, North London.
Okay. And Mr. Bernard, can you tell me a few dates here? So when did you go to give your clothes?
So I went there to give my clothes on 29th September.
Okay. And when did you go to collect them back?
I went there to collect my clothes back actually yesterday, 7th of
That's the 7th of October. Yeah. Okay. So, Mr. Bernard, you said that you went to give your clothes. Can you tell me what all did you give for dry cleaning?
So I gave my two clothes there. One was a shirt and one was a tie. And
All
actually, the
right.
ties, that was something that was really close to my heart. That was really special to me and did hold a very much sentimental value to me. It was something that was gifted by my father to me on my birthday. So I that was something that the loss of that has majorly prompted me to actually come here.
I understand, Mr. Bernard, it must be difficult, given the sentimental attachment that you had to these clothes. So, can you describe for me how these clothes were damaged, as in the condition in which you received them when you went to collect them back?
So when I gave my tie, it was a grey tie, all shiny,
All
perfectly
right.
smooth silk. But when I actually received it back, it was all like a torn piece of cloth, so much battered. It has lost its shine. I even couldn't recognize that it's my tie. It's something that is that was gifted to me actually.
I'm sure that must have left you in a state of shock. I mean, that's the least you expect when you give your clothes to dry cleaning. Um, you were telling me, so can you tell me what happened with your shirt?
So actually, when I purchased my shirt, it was sky blue in color. But when I received it back from dry cleaning, it was somewhere around between ocean blue in color. So the shirt that I had actually had was something not that I received.
Clearly, this was a case of discoloration. You gave it in the color of sky blue, and when you got it back, it became ocean blue. Um, Mr. Bernard, so when we usually go to, give our clothes for dry cleaning, we usually receive a slip or a receipt or a bill of sorts, acknowledging the fact that, we've given our clothes for dry cleaning, and they usually contain a code which helps them identify the clothes when you go to collect them back. So I want to ask you, did you collect any slip or receipt of this sort?
I think I did not. I just went there. and I gave my clothes, had a chat, and then they told me to collect my clothes on 7th October. So I just went there to collect my clothes.
All right, then the entire thing was based on, an oral understanding of when you would go and collect those clothes back. I see. So, Mr. Bernard, now please take me through the events that took place on the 7th of October when you went to collect your clothes back. What exactly happened?
So when I went there on 7th October, I boarded a bus to Emirates. I got down. While I was walking towards the store, I met Mikhail there, and then we started talking about
Oh,
generally.
so sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Bernard, there. Could you tell me who Mr. Mikhail is?
Right.
Any
So
interested?
right. So Mr. Mikhail is the manager of the store.
All right, all right, all right. Manager at Arts. Yeah, please continue.
So then I went there. So before reaching the store, we were generally talking about how is life, how is COVID-19 crisis, Tottenham is a really bad club, and everything. And
I'm
then
extremely sorry to stop you there, Mr. Bernard, but we're running a little short on time. If you could limit your recollection to the point from where, you asked for the clothes. I mean, I really appreciate the detail and how candid you are being with me, but if you could just start from the point when you asked for those clothes.
right. So when I went there, when we reached the store, Mikhail asked one of the servants to actually get my clothes from the warehouse. So when he bought the clothes, I thought that these are not my clothes, and maybe there is some case of misidentification, or maybe they have misplaced my clothes, something like that. I didn't think that these are my clothes. So I talked to my cat that I think there has been some confusion. These are not my clothes. The shirt that I gave, that was completely different. That I gave, that was not something like this. It is not.
So clearly, your clothes were damaged beyond recognition. I think that's the point that you're trying to put across.
Yes, yes, exactly.
So, Mr. Bernard, coming to the fact that, when you realized that these are not your clothes, and they clarified that, these are indeed your clothes, uh, did you take it up with them and say that it happened in your services, and what was their reaction to the same?
So all this said was all actually not they, but all Mikhail said was that because I asked him that okay, if my clothes are being put in such a condition, I need my money back. I need compensation, and a full compensation.
Understandable.
To
Oh,
which Mikhail
full
said,
comp.
"I'm so yeah." So to which Mikhail said that no, we won't be providing you with full compensation, and he then went inside the warehouse. That's it. That was the only conversation that I had.
Yeah, just a clarification there. So there was no, protest or anything of that sort from there and saying, you gave these clothes in this condition only
There
and
was
we haven't
no,
done anything.
there was barely a conversation.
I see. And on the limited point of, you asking for the compensation, Mr. Mikhail completely refused your request.
Right.
All right. Mr. Bernard, let me take you a little back to the point where you mentioned that you were having a cordial chat with Mr. Mikhail before entering the store. So it leads me to an assumption that you were previously acquainted with him. Is this fact true that you had previous dealings with Arsenal Dry Cleaners before?
I actually went there a couple of times, and that is why I trusted
All right.
them with a time.
All right. And any dealings that you had in the recent past, and you may have, had a copy of the bill or a receipt of that sort
Yeah,
with
I
you.
think I had a dealing with them in September before
Oh,
my
pretty recent.
this particular dealing. And I think at that point I did take a seat.
Oh, Mr. Bernard, the reason why I ask you this is because, as customers, these receipts and all don't have that much of an importance. But since this case has come for legal consideration, this bill or receipt would be of great importance for us to, look if there are any terms that have been put in the bill by Arsenal Dry Cleaners. So, if you could furnish the same to us whenever you have the time, it would be really helpful for us to, make any analysis about the situation here.
Right. In that case, I'll scan it and send it to you.
All right. Uh, Mr. Bernard, now I think I'm coming towards the close of, asking you questions, and I have a sketchy idea of what this case is about. Is there any other detail that you would like to add here?
I don't think so because all I had on my side was story I told you.
Yeah, and there has just a last question, after which I'll recap, just to cross check with you if I've got all the facts here. So after that incident, you have had no communication, right? You must have made an effort to communicate with them, but I believe there has been.
Actually today only, I before coming uh, and seeking a legal recourse from you, I tried once more calling Mikhail and asking him that whether he'd provide me with full compensation or not, to which he didn't even pick up my call.
All right, all right. So, Mr. Bernard, I'll just quickly go through all the facts that I've got here. You gave your clothes for dry cleaning to Arsenal Dry Cleaners located at Emirates, North London, on the 29th of September, and it included a shirt and a tie. The tie was gray color, and the shirt was sky blue when you gave it. When you went to collect them back on the 7th of October, the tie was reduced to a piece of torn clothes. That was the extent of the damage. And the shirt, it was discolored, fairly discolored, from sky blue to ocean blue. And when you went on the 7th of October to collect your clothes back, Mr. Mikkel, who's the manager at Arsenal Dry Cleaners, he had asked someone from the shop to get your clothes. And when you received them, they were damaged to a point where you couldn't even recognize them. You raised your objections to the fact that the clothes were damaged. They made no comment about, resisting the fact that it had taken place in their care and in their service. When you asked them for compensation, they refuted it at that point of time. And since then, there has been no further communication between you and Arsenal Dry Cleaners. Is that all?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Bernard. Now that I think I have a fair amount of facts here, in the next part of this session, I would like to know from you what are your expectations from this particular case, and possibly explore some legal recourses that we can take. Now that we have received a sample interview, it's time that we discuss some important points that you need to keep in mind while conducting an interview yourself. The first golden rule that you need to bear in mind is to listen carefully. Now, I know that it sounds very obvious, but when there's exchange of such large amounts of information, the chances that you register a fact incorrectly are very high, and this can lead to an incomplete or an incorrect conclusion. See, for example, in our very own video, if you noticed carefully, the client mentioned the shirt was sky blue in color at the time when he purchased it. He made no mention about the fact of the condition in which he gave the shirt for dry cleaning. Now, it's quite possible that the shirt might have got discolored due to wear and tear, something which clearly escaped the attention of the council.
Now, adding to that, we must never make an error of assuming a fact to be redundant at the onset. Now, for example, in our case, the conversation between the manager of the store and our client seemed to be redundant. However, that not only helped us to discover the fact that they had previous dealings between them, but it also helped us to discover the bills of the previous transactions that will help our case. Also, one thing that must always be pulled out of an interview is the date, the documents, the contact details, and the name of the client and the parties. This not just helps us to identify that whether there's a conflict or not, but also chalk out the future course of action in our case. Now, adding to that, we must not make an error of assuming a fact to be redundant at the outset. Now, for example, in our case, if we look at the casual conversation that happened between the manager of the store and our client, it may seem to be redundant. However, it helped us identify the previous dealings between the store and our client and also helped us to identify the receipts that will directly help in our case. Also, few things that must necessarily be pulled out of an interview is number one, the name of the parties, their contact details, the documents, and the dates concerning the case. This not just helps us to identify whether there is any case of possible conflict or not. Moreover, it also helps us to identify future possible course of action in our case.
Another important thing that you need to keep in mind is the tone that you adopt as a counsel during the course of the interview. You are expected to strike a balance between sounding professional but at the same time being empathetic to your client if a particular fact or a particular thing is bothering him or concerning him. This message needs to be put out loud and clear that you are here to only and only help him out. The next thing that you need to keep in mind is that there are several different kinds of clients that you would come across while interviewing them. Some would be very restricted in their approach of giving you information, which would require you to constantly prod them and and pull out relevant information. Whereas there would be other kinds of clients who would be giving you detailed answers. Another important thing that you need to keep in mind is the tone that you adopt as a counsel during the course of the interview. You are expected to strike a balance between sounding professional but at the same time being empathetic and warming up to your client at times when certain facts or details concerns them or bothers them. This message needs to be put out loud and clear that you are there to only and only help them out. The next thing which you should keep in mind is that there would be different kinds of clients which you would come across. Some would be very restricted in the information which they share with you and therefore would require you to constantly prod them, while others would give you very detailed answers, answers which might be difficult to entertain when you have such limited time. In that case, you're required to maneuver the client and to lay down a structure for the interview yourself. Avoid asking open-ended questions.
One very essential advice will be that only ask one question at a time. If you have additional points, always ask supplement questions. This not only helps the client but also the counsel to keep track of the interview as well as not to get confused. Now, with this, we would like to take a leave. I hope that this session was useful for you. And for the next segment, that is part 3, we'll be releasing the video very soon. Thank you.